this man, what the Rock is cooking.
Oh, we have a little hoopla, just a little sample platter hoopla. As we, that actually threw me off a little bit, but all right, we're back. It's like Patrick's here, but then he's not in my brain. We're going to talk about the WNBA because season ends tomorrow. Things are pretty much already figured out. So if this is your first time to tune in for the season, this is basically going to be a little what you need to know before the playoffs start. Obviously, you've probably heard about Caitlin Clark. You may have heard about Asia Wilson. You should have heard about Asia Wilson. You should know that the league's doing very well, that the ratings are sky high, the money's pouring in, everybody's happy, thoughts of expansion, which we'll get to. Such a beautiful world in the W. But first, we're going to talk about the awards for this season. ESPN recently put out an article where they sort of predicted that all three of the biggest awards, MVP, Rookie of the Year, and Coach of the Year, should be unanimous. I also think Defensive Player of the Year could be unanimous. We'll see how that ends up going. Asia Wilson set the record for points in a season. I think she was the first WNBA player to eclipse 4,000 now. And then Caitlin Clark, on the other side of this, is basically broken all kinds of records, rookie records, single game records, single assist records for any player, rookie or not. Well on her way to a Rookie of the Year title. And then her coach, Cheryl Reeve, most likely will get the nod because the Indiana Fever have done so well since they're not really that bad of a start, but fairly slow start to the season. They've basically gone from bottom-dwelling team to future of the league. I mean, with Caitlin, certainly. Coach of the Year might be a little confounded. Becky Hammond has done a good job keeping the Aces afloat as they try to four-peat, I think, if I remember correctly. It's to the level of how many have you won in a row now? That's a good thing. And then Sandy Brondello, who's got the Liberty. They have the best record in the league. They lost the title last year. They're heavily favored to win the title this year. So I could see where some vote stealing might come into play in the awards. And if you're a gambler, you've already missed your opportunity here. And frankly, I don't know how many other places there even are to bet this stuff. Every time I try to find the odds on this, it feels like only certain books actually put award races. You can only do game by game betting. So fuck that. That needs to change. Nafisa,
I'd bet they have futures next year.
I would hope so.
Now that they see what it kind of looks like.
At least DraftKings, you sons of bitches. At least you. If no one else, you. And sponsor the pod. Nafisa Collier, probably going to be Defensive Player of the Year, but there's a lot of great defensive players in the W, so I wouldn't be shocked if she's not unanimous, even if she should be. Moving into the playoff race, our Dallas Wings are eliminated. The Los Angeles Sparks are eliminated. Those are the only two teams eliminated. What the future of the Dallas Wings holds, basically, in my opinion, comes down to whether they get Paige buckets in the draft. We'll talk about expansion, how there's going to be a team that comes into play. But ultimately, the Wings are going to have the second worst record. They've got a lot of talent. They're a frustrating organization in other ways. I think they've got a good coach, so I think you could easily rebound. But if they don't get Paige buckets, then I do wonder if they're just kind of treading into the same spinning wheel, where even if they're healthy next year, then they're only so good long term. And it's tough when there's so few teams.
So they do get Paige Bucher, right? Is her name?
Yeah.
And so if they do get her, does she pair well with?
No, I think she's just Becker. I think it's Becker's, and I always want to say Bucher because of fucking Rick Bucher. But I'm pretty sure it's Becker's, but it's spelled with a U instead of just a E.
All right. Well, does she pair well with our current ball?
She is star? At this point. That doesn't matter. I mean, honestly, yeah, that is a question, but no, you would definitely just go ahead and put those girls together, and if it doesn't work, then like Enrique probably is out the door. If we're being honest, she's been here longer. They've had Paige should be very good, like very, very good.
Yeah. No, I mean, I personally don't mind if it's two clashing styles because we've seen it work before. Granted, in the men's game, but we've seen ball dominant players make it happen.
If you see the Vegas Aces, they're like I said, they're a dynasty, and they've got three girls that you wouldn't necessarily think would play together. And if the league was deeper, then they wouldn't have a 3-guard future Hall of Fame rotation like they do with Plum, Young, and Gray. And then that's on top of having the best player in like maybe all time in Asia Wilson. So like what the Aces have been able to do has been the version of the W we're familiar with. So you do have to kind of roster stack, and then you have to hope these girls will put it all together and then kind of play like the dream team has to play, and kind of have to, everyone has to, humble themselves to the ball. And that's the hard part with the W right
now. Breaking news: Google would like us to pronounce it Paige Bueckers. Bueckers.
So Bueckers is the correct pronunciation.
According to Google, BYOO-KRZ. Bueckers.
I'm going to try to figure out that, because every time I hear people in the community talk about it, I'm hearing Beckers. And I'm hearing Beckers on TV, and I'm hearing Beck, and I'm like, that says Buecker. Like that is how you spell Buecker.
Times, maybe not a lot of times, but I have seen it where it seems like some families just pronounce something different for whatever reason. A long time ago, their family just said it different. So
yeah, maybe so.
Best guess.
I've been trying to understand this myself, but yeah, there you go. There's some more clarification. Meanwhile, if you look at the bracket, 1 through 7 is locked in. The Liberty, the Lynx, they're, I think, pretty much locked in at 1 and 2. I don't know if you can actually find something that shows they're locked in. I know there's a battle for the 3 seed with Connecticut and the Aces. Like I said, there's only one game left for every team, and it's tomorrow. Nobody's playing tonight. So all of this will kind of happen. Boom, boom, boom. The Storm are locked into 5th, I believe. And then there's a race for 6th, whether it be the Fever, who currently hold it, or the Phoenix Mercury, who are lurking in there. Obviously, everybody just has to fit the wins and losses. So really the battle's for the 8th seed here. 3 teams are going to play for the 8th seed. Only one of them is going to emerge. I think right now it's the Atlanta Dream, who have been slightly better. They should have already had this position locked in probably a couple weeks ago. But they've had if the Wings are the most disappointing team in the W, the Dream are dead close, because the other teams have excuses for being bad. This situation for the Wings and the Dream to have fallen off from promising prior seasons is notable. But they are in the driver's seat. The Washington Mystics have had a phenomenal turnaround. They started the season 0-12, and they were in the 8th seed yesterday. I had to update this because of last night's games. And then so they have to play the Indiana Fever, like I said, battling to keep the 6th seed. So that's a tough one for them. Chicago Sky are also in the mix here, even though they've started to fall back down because they've obviously lost one of their young stars for the season. So we're going to go ahead and move on there a little bit. Camila Cardoso is still really talented, so they're not hurting. It's just obviously it's a deep league. So you lose one really good player like Angel Reese, and then you're kind of shit out of luck. Their last game is against the Connecticut Sun. Like I said, they're battling to keep the 3 seed. The Dream, they're going to play the Liberty, who are the 1 seed. They're most likely to win because the Libs don't have anything to play for, in my opinion. Who knows how that'll actually go down. So yeah, should be the best postseason we've ever seen in WNBA history. There will be a lot of fun matchups that we'll get to talk about. I believe by the next time we record, either a couple of the first round series are already going to be over, or there might be 1 or 2 still lingering. I think it's 3-game series to start the first round. So we will see an update then with how those went. But the final thing I wanted to talk about with you guys and open it up a little bit just to see and hear your thoughts on this, because the WNBA has decided to expand pretty rapidly. They want to get back to 16 teams pretty quickly. That means 4 teams need to come in, right? Golden State's already been announced. They'll be in next year, right? We already that's already been
they have to be tied to NBA teams.
No.
Okay.
No, not necessarily. The 3 that have been announced so far have. So perhaps that's the question that you should consider that for what I'm going to ask you. Golden State is going to be the Valkyries we already know their name. We already know their logos. Like I said, I wouldn't be shocked if they even get fixed to where they get Paige to start their whole, start their franchise. I honestly would almost guarantee that.
You think they would give the first overall pick to an expansion team?
That's where I think that's the only thing is I'm like, wouldn't it be easier to do this if you're? And I think like they can break the precedent set.
Yeah, I guess you just feel bad for whoever would have maybe got. I don't know if they do lottery or if they just do straight standings, but
I mean, yeah, you're talking about Los Angeles Sparks, which I think is definitely. I mean, putting her on the Sparks would definitely put that franchise in a position to be very good for a very long time.
And I'm just, how mad are they going to be if they miss out? Because
basically what I'm saying is don't expect the Dallas Wings to get that pick. There's no reason why the WNBA is going to want to continue to prioritize Dallas. They just want them to have 1 to 2 stars, and that's all they care about. And I get it. It might be all the ownership cares about too. Portland and Toronto will come in next year. I don't believe either of those teams have been named yet or have any. We just found out about Portland, so I know that one. But Toronto, I don't think has released any other information.
What's Portland's?
Portland just got announced like yesterday or this morning.
So no team name or anything.
Okay.
Yeah, so we don't know anything other than Portland will get one and Toronto will get one. Portland has had a team before, Toronto has not. Obviously, that'll be a big deal. But the biggest deal here, if you guys are good at math, I know this is a little bit advanced, but that's 3 teams. To get from 12 to 16, you need 4 teams. That means, guys, you need 1 more team.
Mexico City.
Well, that's certainly the talk in the NBA expansion that recently got brought up this past week with Brian Windhorst and them. But we're not going to cover that. That doesn't matter as much to me. It's
Montreal.
Interesting, but we don't know. Montreal, no. Toronto, they've already done it, so now Canada's good for a while, right? They're not going to double dip in Canada.
Puerto Rico.
No, you're
Okay,
thinking. Remember how there's only 15 teams, right? No, you're thinking if we're big league, there's so many cities missing. So the Detroit Shock, who are now the Dallas Wings, the Houston Comets, the original franchise that built the WNBA, has not existed for a very long time. The Carolinas love college basketball. Makes sense to throw one there. Yep. Nashville exists, and I always have to mention them in this situation.
They don't have an NBA team.
They don't have an NBA team, so it's one of those. I don't think it matters that much. I mean, I think there's certain markets.
I also think
Tulsa.
They could tie in with Memphis and it'd be fun.
Yeah. So Tulsa Shock is now the Dallas Wings. It was the Detroit Shock, the Tulsa Shock. Now, no, they'll never put a team in Tulsa. That I think they learned their lesson there because, I mean, even the Dallas Wings need to pick up more. You know what I mean? Like it's basically what happened.
Dallas.
It's basically what happened with the Thunder, right? Or pre-Thunder era NBA is where Mark Cuban basically had that audience, and then he got that stolen from him. So that's just not about to happen in a much smaller league. They're like, no, we demand Oklahoma. Either way, expansion's coming. My pick, I think I've already tipped it, and maybe this is a surprise, but I would like to see the Houston Comets back. I think that when you come to building a really nice historical, legacy of a league, you really aren't, like what had happened if the Celtics moved on and you know what I mean, and we still had to relive the '60s Celtics, but now they're in some other place and stuff like that. So it's just you don't really love that. You want them to be back. There's a lot of history with that Comets group. They really did put together a great group just to start this whole league and an interest and get this ball rolling. So I would like to see Houston back. That's the long of it for me. But Detroit, Philadelphia has not had one before, I believe, and they just basically got renewed for their new arena. The Sixers did. So the Sixers won't be in New Jersey, if you had heard that rumor, or won't likely be in New Jersey. I just watched that Oakland Athletics thing Pablo Torre did a while back, and now I'm like, never say never, but it most likely won't happen now.
Never a good time when your owner's buying land somewhere else and telling you it's for something else.
Never a good time, but I think in this point, Philadelphia residents are safe. The Sixers should be staying in downtown.
It seems like a wild franchise to move, but I guess it could happen.
I think it's because you can move it to another place so simply and keep the same fan base theoretically, but I think they know the spirit of Philadelphia won't allow
the league is too smart to let that happen. Maybe not the owners themselves, but don't deprive a good fan base of good product like Oakland. Let us all learn from Oakland. Like those people did nothing but care about sports and represent those St. Louis and Seattle.
Seattle's whatever. But I really feel for Oakland. They've had two teams leave, and they were both, should have stayed there. No reason why they should have left.
Well, 3 now, right? Or did the Warriors just move into Oakland?
Yeah, I mean, technically you could count the Warriors. They did move to San Francisco, which is not a convenient thing for
that
people
feels
in
like
Oakland.
more of a slight than moving across.
At least they're still your team, man. At least you can still rock the jersey, man. I would be so pissed off if I was an Athletics and Raiders fan. I just wouldn't.
Raiders is weird also. They bounced around a bit, but
they bounced around. That's fair. They did not have a lot of success in Oakland. That is a very valid point. But either way, good fans, that's what kind of breaks your heart about it. But it's modern sports. Get used to it.